Some more, let's talk about Ghostbusters Part 2. More bizarre facts about the movies. Number 5, Slimer. I have this toy from the 80s. I got Slimer, the legendary character Slimer. There he is. Actually, in the 80s, if you bought like slime, it'd go through his mouth. That's why it's a hole in his mouth. Anyways, I really cherish this toy because it's from the 80s when I was a kid. Legendary Slimer was never referred to in the movie as Slimer. They never said his name Slimer. In the cartoon they did, but never in the movies, part 1, the original, or 2. So by the cast and crew, he was known as, Slimer is known as Onion Head, like as a tribute to John Belushi. Because sadly he passed away. Then the real Ghostbusters cartoon, Slimer was like a part of the team. He was a good guy with the Ghostbusters. That was pretty funny. There's a picture of him in the cartoon. In a bad hiding. Because he was scared. Also, the terror dogs, known as the Hellhounds, they were never referred to in the movies either. Number 4, bizarre fact. Eddie Murphy was offered the role of Winston, Ernie Hudson's role. Eddie Murphy was offered it. But guess what? I don't know why he did this. Or why he turned it down, or his manager, but how stupid. I think Eddie Murphy would have been really good in the original Ghostbusters and probably really funny and stole the show. Because Eddie Murphy is big in the 80s. He's on Saturday Night Live. He was funny as hell. Comedic genius. Stand-up. He had great specials. Eddie Murphy Raw. Eddie Murphy Delirious. He was in Beverly Hills Cop. The original and 2 other Beverly Hills Cops that were really big movies. So Eddie Murphy is a man. In the 80s. Sadly, he turned down the role to be in Ghostbusters. Why the hell would you do that? I don't know. But dumb move by him. But good for Ernie Hudson that he got it. Number 3, Ghostbusters was supposed to be a futuristic adventure, whatever the hell that means. I don't know. They were supposed to be in space. That wouldn't have worked in space. Ghostbusters in space. What? That wouldn't have worked. It would have been like Leprechaun in space, which was horrible. At least a Leprechaun in space had that one hot blonde in it. I forget her name, but my God, she's hot. I thought she was anyways. But Leprechaun in space was stupid. Jason X in space, that was stupid also. So I'm glad the original Ghostbusters felt putting the State Puffed Marshmallow Man, which I have a little toy of his right here, from Ghostbusters, the video game, from 07, 08, whenever it was released. I got this with it. So there he is. It says he's a stress toy. I guess you're supposed to squeeze it over and over to unstress. How is squeezing something gonna unstress you in your mind? I don't get it. How is that supposed to make you feel better? Maybe instead of squeezing on that, you could squeeze on something else to make yourself feel better. And for women, you can touch yourself somewhere to make yourself feel better too. That's a better unstressor in my opinion than squeezing a toy. But back to the movie. Let's talk about it, Ghostbusters. They thought putting the Marshmallow Man was too outlandish or one of the most bizarre things, but it was one of the most brilliant things in the entire movie. Seeing the Marshmallow Man was epic as a kid. I loved him. I loved seeing him appear in the movie. I watched it. I would rewind the video VHS tape. I rented it probably 50 times. And I would constantly rewind it to watch the Marshmallow Man appear and walk down the streets of New York. That was epic. Then when they blew him up, that was even better. Great, great scenes. Yeah, but they thought the film would be more out there and you wouldn't than realized. The DVD commentary. Ivan Reitman and Harold Ramis told a story set in a futuristic New York City where the team would be established already as Ghostbusters would be found all over the world, as well as several supernatural entries. That doesn't sound good, putting it in like space. Number 2. Slimer's based on John Belushi. I knew that already, but now you do also. And number 1. Also, my God, let me get to number 1, bizarre fact. It was all inspired by a real Ghostbusters, but not inspired by real life paranormal investigators, but related. Dan Aykroyd's great grandfather really believed in supernatural. And Dan Aykroyd's late father published a book, A History of Ghosts, in 2009. And we all know Dan Aykroyd's interested in investigating ghosts and UFOs. Now let's get to the movie. Just, again, to me, every scene was great. Everybody that was casted was perfect in their roles. All the characters worked well together. You cared about all the characters in the movie. Even Janine, the damn receptionist, Annie Potts, played her perfectly. She acted like, I don't know why, but this is funny. She acted like she hated her job. And I guess you would if you had to keep answering phones for all these people that were sounding crazy that they needed help. They saw ghosts and come to their house and help them. So I guess you would go nuts and a little crazy and have an attitude. But Annie Potts was so great as Janine. She would, legendary scene, she answered the phone. She was like pissed off or overworked. I think she's probably overworked because they couldn't hire anybody to work for them hardly. Because they weren't making any money yet. But she is hired. She answered the phone. Ghostbusters, what do you want? That great scene. Even, what's his name? Peck. What the hell is his name? The guy they were fighting with, Peck. Not Peckman. Who cares? Peckerhead. I'll call him Peckerhead. He was great in the movie. He was an ass. He's an a-hole trying to shut them down. I don't know if he worked for some, I don't know, chemical, I don't know. He worked for an environmental company or something. He thought the Ghostbusters were breaking laws and felonies because they had a giant storage unit in the basement where they were trapping the ghosts. Also, that was great. What a great idea to put that in the movie. A unit where you could trap ghosts. That'd be awesome if it was for real. And my God, so many great scenes. Rick Moranis was so great is the Keymaster. He would, after he got possessed by the evil terror dogs, he goes up to a horse, starts talking to a horse on the streets. He's like, "Are you the gatekeeper?" Legendary. Are you the gatekeeper? Then the guy asks, "You want to ride or not?" And he just, his eyes glow red at the guy. He looks freaked out. And Rick Moranis runs away like a crazy possessed man. And the guy that was in the horse carriage, he's like, "What an asshole." That was funny shit. So yeah, here's a great picture. I shared it on my social medias yesterday. Are you the gatekeeper? Of Rick Moranis with the horse. He was looking for, the gatekeeper, I guess, was Zool. Sigourney Weaver's character. She was great in it. Really good. So, he was the Keymaster. She was Zool. And, when they took in Rick Moranis, brought him to the firehouse, they wanted to reunite him or get him with Zool. Because Zool, Dana Barrett, her character was taken over by the evil terror dogs, and that was a great scene. That was, again, the special effects ahead of their time. The special effects are so great. In the original Ghostbusters, she was sitting in her chair. I think she was changing her clothes or was just done working out, trying to get out of her clothes or something. Anyway, she sits in a recliner chair or in a couch chair. I don't know. In furniture. She just sat down in living room furniture chair. The arms come out of the chair, grab her, hold her down, pull her behind the door, like take her to hell. That was awesome. Great scene. Another legendary scene is when Sigourney Weaver's cooking, like has eggs out. She just went grocery shopping. The eggs pop out of the egg holder, start cooking on the counter. That was great. I don't know who the hell thought of that, but that was fucking awesome. That special effect. And then she looked in her fridge, got freaked the hell out because she saw all the demonic, whatever the hell it was, looked like it was hell. And the terror dogs were there to scare her. So just so many great quotes in Ghostbusters. The first time they get hired. I mean, let's go back to the beginning when they go to the library. Check out the haunted basement in the library where a librarian's a ghost. Just sitting there peaceful, quiet, trying to read. She tells them, "Shh, be quiet, leave me alone." Then they get a plan. They try to walk up to her. I don't know what the hell they thought was going to happen. But they tried to get her. She freaked them out. Screamed at them. They run out of the library. The music in the movie's great. The acting's great. Everything's great. The background in New York City, everything is great about the original Ghostbusters. So they run out of the library, scared as hell. Then to buy the firehouse to set up their business of being Ghostbusters, trying to make it a business, make money. Ray, Dan Aykroyd's character, had to sell or put his parents' house or sell it or something. Or get money from, get money from their house. And he was upset about it. He's like, "I grew up in that house." And another great scene. Every scene's great in my opinion, but they're outside talking, and Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray are talking like, "How are we gonna make this work?" Because they're supposedly scientists, and they get kicked out of their university. They looked a bit old to be at a university and like get a scholarship or something to be staying there. They looked a bit old, like close to 35, 40 years old to be at college, but they were. And then in the beginning, my God, Bill Murray holding up the card, shocking the nerd, and trying to hit on the beautiful blonde. That was funny as hell. So many great quotes in this movie. When they first get hired to capture Slimer, and they find him in the hallway, that was legendary. Great legendary scene. And they're in the elevator, and they're nervous. They're like, we never tested these backpacks, proton packs. We never test them. We don't know what the hell we're dealing with. And we're carrying a nuclear bomb on our backs. And Bill Murray's character is like, I blame myself for not testing them. Then they turn them on. The sound of them turning them on, the sound brings me great feelings, hearing that sound of the proton pack turning on. That great sound. And when they shoot it, the sound is just awesome. It's like a ghost gun. It's cool as hell. So many great lines and just dialogue. Peter Venkman and Egon are talking. They're like, Egon says at one point, towards the end of the movie, this is very important to tell you. And Venkman says what? Don't cross the streams. Why? It would be bad. He says, I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing. What do you mean bad? And Spangler says, try to imagine. All life as you know it stopped simultaneously, and every nuclear in your body exploding at the speed of light. And then he goes, oh, okay, and Dr. Venkman says, right, that's bad, okay, all right. Important safety tip, thanks, Egon. And then Ray just imagining, he said, clear your minds. These are on top of the damn huge building, apartments. And clear your minds. And of course, Ray couldn't clear his mind. He said, I tried to think of thing from my childhood, the State Puffed Marshmallow Man. And then he appears, which is legendary in movie history, in my opinion. Also, this logo, as I said, is legendary. Great logo for a movie. I'm sure it made millions and millions in merchandise. So first I'm going to share with you, I showed you Slimer. Got a little Stay Puffed Man here. I got the video games, which I'll share in a minute and show you, the games are great. Here's another toy I got from the 80s for the Ghostbusters. It had like a wind-up thing, and he has a wheel. He used to go across floor by himself, but I don't know. The wind-up broke. I think he had a string or a button. It broke, so now he just wheels across the floor. I also had the Ghostbusters original house with the action figures. I had them all. Sadly, when I was a kid, my aunt's dog chewed up my action figures of Ghostbusters, so I don't have them anymore. I didn't rebuy them. I'm sure they're for sale on eBay. I have the original house. I have the original car right here. Here's the original car. It's very beat up because I didn't treat it good when I was growing up. The doors are missing. This thing's missing on this side. The back is missing. But this is the original car from the movie, or that they put out as a toy. I got an updated car from when the movie was put out a few years ago. The Afterlife. Ghostbusters Afterlife car. Here it is. I bought it. So here it is. Not beat up. I'm not going to ruin it because I'm not a dumb kid. anymore. Here it is. This thing's loose, but it's a back door, everything. This door opens. This little thing, this remote thing in the new Ghostbusters Afterlife, this little remote car thing goes up here somewhere. I don't know where it goes. I think it goes here. Who knows? I forget. Anyway, or no, this goes in the back, I think. But whatever. So, yeah, Ghostbusters, the sequel, they waited too long for part 2, in my opinion. But again, I said part 2 I thought was really good. They should have made a part 3, in my opinion. Could have put out in 1990 or 91, 92. But they never got a sequel to part 2. Never. God, it took years, decades it took to put out a new Ghostbusters, which I don't understand. I wanted to see a new Ghostbusters like 20 years ago. But they can never get a script or something. I don't get it. But finally they made one. And it was good. Ghostbusters Afterlife was really good, I thought. I got emotional. I will admit I cried when Egon's character, Harold Ramis, appeared as a spirit, as a ghost, whatever, to help them. And they had like an AI version, special effects, CGI version of him as an older guy, same age as them. And when he showed up, man, he was helping his family, his niece. He was helping the Ghostbusters. I got emotional. I cried. I had tears coming down my cheek. It was very emotional. Very sad that he has passed away, Harold Ramis. This is just a regular DVD, 3-movie collection. Part 1, Part 2, and Afterlife. I do have 4K Blu-ray. I'll be back in a second. So I'm back with some of my Ghostbusters stuff. I showed you a few toys, the car right there. That's the new car from, it was put out after the Afterlife movie. But here are the video games. Again, as a kid I was obsessed with Ghostbusters. I rented it about 50 times, watched it over and over and over. Had the toy Proton Pack, had the action figures. I watched the real Ghostbusters cartoon a ton, bought the action figures that were the real Ghostbusters action figures. Slimer toy. I already showed you this, but whatever the hell he is was released as a toy. I have the Ghostbusters house behind this door, but it's in a plastic bag. I don't feel like getting it out. This video game, PS4. And this was released in 2016 by Activision. And there were other Ghostbusters games for Nintendo, Part 1 and 2. And Ghostbusters game for Sega Genesis, which I played all of them. Well, first there's a Ghostbusters, a real Ghostbusters arcade game that was released for Atari. I played that. It's on my YouTube channel in my arcade video games arcade playlist. I played the 2 Ghostbusters for Nintendo growing up. They're also on my channel in the Nintendo playlist of games. And Sega Genesis had a Ghostbusters game, which was pretty good graphics, better than the Nintendo one. The arcade, real Ghostbusters, was pretty damn fun to play. From being from the 80s, it was pretty fun gameplay. Then really no Ghostbusters games released after like 94. Nothing. No movies either. Missed opportunity in my opinion. Ghostbusters is a franchise. It should be a franchise. They should keep making movies over and over, in my opinion, sequels over and over with new people, new Ghostbusters, or these same characters that were in Afterlife. They could keep going, in my opinion, with Ghostbusters movies. But my God, after Ghostbusters 2, they had nothing. They couldn't come out with another movie or hardly any new video games. But this was good. 2016. This game is not very good, but it's not horrible. It's not bad. I enjoyed playing it, but it's not great at all. 2016 Ghostbusters game. I don't remember seeing Slimer in it. There's a picture of him like he's in the game, but who knows? The characters are not Bill Murray's voice or any of the original cast. Are not in this game. Their voices, they did not work on the game to do voiceovers. Disappointing right here. Someday I'll play it again and put it on my YouTube channel. This game is great. Really good. This is like, they have a little short documentary in it. Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis explain in the documentary the making of this game, the Ghostbusters video game. There it is. Great game. All-time great Ghostbusters game in video and story in the game. Great storyline. It's like a third movie. It's like Ghostbusters 3. It's really good. They did a documentary, the making of it. Harold Ramis says we wrote this like this was part 3. This was Ghostbusters 3, and it was from 1991. Based in the game says 1991. Again, all-time great video game. One of my favorite games I play. And it's a great story in it too. Great storyline. It's truly like Ghostbusters Part 3. It's in a game. Sadly, we never got it as a movie. But it's like a movie in the game anyway. Because they got the original cast, all their voices, just about. And for some reason, I can't think of her name. Alyssa Milano's in it. There's a character in her voice too. That's weird, but she's in it. This game's really good. I enjoy it. Not much storylines in it. Not much of a story. You can play online with other players as Ghostbusters. That's pretty fun. That's a cool feature. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. I like this game. But after the storyline's over and they don't come up with new downloadable content or new story, it kind of gets repetitive and kind of boring. Not boring, but it's the same old stuff. You can play as a ghost. That's cool. Where you can haunt the rooms or hotel. They got like, I think, 8 different rooms or 6 that you can haunt. You can play as a ghost or a Ghostbuster. That's really cool. And there was a storyline in the game, kind of, but they haven't updated any new content since like last October, Halloween, or last October, November. But I really enjoyed playing this. All my Ghostbusters games for PlayStation are in my Ghostbusters playlist. Check it out. Now let's talk about the original. Costed, the budget was 25 to 30 million. That's a lot for 83 when they made it, or whenever, or early 84 or 83 they made it. It was released June 84. Again, it cost 25 to 30 million. It made $296.6 million. Insane, great profit. Part 2, I'm sure, made a lot also, I think. Or I'm sure it had to. And the merchandise, I mean, God, the merchandise had to make a ton of money. I don't know who got the merchandise, Columbia Pictures or the toy companies, I don't know. But we had the real Ghostbusters, really popular cartoon in 1986, Extreme Ghostbusters sequel in 97, which I actually watched. Video games, comic books, haunted attractions. There's so many merchandise opportunities just from this movie, the original, and the logo and everything. Here's my 4K set. I cherish this. It's great. I bought it about 2 years ago, I believe. 5 DVDs of 4K, Ultra, whatever the hell that means, Ultra HD Blu-ray 4K, whatever that means. It's better than, we know it's better than DVD. So I said 5 DVDs, it's actually, I think it is 5. But they got 4 here. And a very nice book. By the way, these lights glow. See them? There's lights inside. Proton pack. Look at that. Lights inside. That's very cool. A giant proton pack with the movies. And a special DVD. Special features. So this book, Making of Ghostbusters, the screenplay by Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis. Very nice book here. Really cool. All the pictures and the drawings of the original movie, it's all in black and white. But very cool. There's a librarian. Whatever these are called. What do they call that? Artists draw pictures. I don't know what they call that. I forget. Here's a woman that played her, the librarian. She got special effects makeup. They actually show... God damn it. Good thing this is in a giant cardboard case, because I just dropped it. So it protects the DVDs. But yeah, on the special features DVD in here, they show the librarian, her audition tape. It's pretty funny. She keeps screaming and putting her arms out. That's all good shit. So this book, I haven't even looked at every page, but my God, it has a lot in it. So all the dialogue from the script. The drawings of the apartment that was haunted, Dana Barrett's apartment and Rick Moranis' apartment, Lewis. It's a little path or gateway in the sky. This was not in the original movie. It's pretty cool. Again, this 4K, 4 DVDs. What the hell is it called? What do they call this? The Ultimate Collection. Again, it's a great collection. Very good shit. Special features DVDs like, I think like 8 or 10 hours long. Here's this scene was cut out. A couple that heard ghosts. It was a deleted scene. There's a Slimer, his special effect, or how they created Slimer. Very cool. Not a special effect. I think they built a Slimer. Whatever that's called, I forget. There's Bill Murray getting slimed on the floor by a crew member. That's a legendary scene. He's like, he calls Ray on the walkie-talkie. He's like, Ray, I found him. He's looking right at me. And then Ray's like, don't move, I'm coming. And then he's like, Ray, he's coming towards me. And then he starts screaming and he gets slimed. Legendary scene. And so many great scenes. And they're going in the elevator. And Egon pushes on a guy's shoulder to see if he's a ghost or if he's real. And some guy before the elevator, or waiting for the elevator, he's like, who are you guys dressed like that? And they're like, oh, we saw a cockroach up on like level whatever 20, or we're exterminators, we gotta go get a cockroach. Then the guy's like, that must be some cockroach. And Bill Murray's like, yeah, it'll bite your head off. Just great. And then when they catch Slimer, the owner or the manager of the hotel is like, you want that amount of money? I won't pay it. That's outrageous. They're like, okay, we'll release some back in your hotel. And then he pays it. And then Bill Murray, they bust out the doors with Slimer. He's like, we came, we saw, we kicked its ass. And just legendary scenes in this movie. Well, Larry King's even in the movie. That's pretty cool. He's talking about the Ghostbusters. I don't know what this drawing is. I guess of the Terror Dog. Original drawings. Right there is his mouth. His teeth. At one point in the movie, I think it's a dream sequence or a dreaming scene, or they can't sleep because they're overworked. They got like 3 beds next to each other. Dan Aykroyd sees a female ghost over him. This is kind of rated R here. Even though Ghostbusters is not rated R. But this scene, he takes his belt off, unzips his pants like the ghost wants to blow him. That was funny shit. It's funny now to me, but as a kid, I didn't understand it. I was like, why is she taking his pants off, showing his underwear? And Dan Aykroyd makes a face like he's actually getting blown by a ghost. That was funny. Oh, and the woman that plays, God, what's her name? The woman was like a foreigner. Here's more drawings of what the Beast could have looked like. Here he looks like a giant rat. Here he looks like a dragon. Very cool. I never looked at these. I don't know why before. I've had this I had this book for 2 years almost. Or about 2 years. Here's a sculpture of the Beast, Terror Dog. We all know what he looked like, but there's a sculpture. Again, great special effects people on this movie that created the monsters. The woman, I forget what her name was, but she's on top of the roof. And she starts talking to Ghostbusters. She wants to know, are you gods? Are you a god? When Dan Aykroyd talks to her, it's like, are you a god? He's like, no. She goes, then die, and zaps them. They almost fall off the damn roof or the top of the building. That was a great scene. So my goodness, Afterlife. I bought this before this Ultimate Collection because I want to see Afterlife. But I got another Afterlife in 4K Blu-ray. Another Afterlife. Frozen Empire I will see. I haven't seen it yet, but it has been out. And I will watch it. So yeah, I got two Frozen, or not Frozen, two Afterlives on DVD. And I got two of the original on DVD. And Ghostbusters 2 also on Blu-ray. So I want to show you these DVDs in this. There's a cool drawing of part 2, the disc. And there's part 1 behind it. There's part 1. So here's a special effects 4K. 2 discs. Not special effects, special features. And another one of my favorite scenes is picture of the proton pack. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when the Peckerhead, whatever his name was, he comes in there, questions Bill Murray's character, like, what do you guys actually do here? What are you hiding? You're, like, destroying the environment and breaking the law and stuff like that. And he's like, where do you keep the ghosts? Can I see the ghosts here? And Bill Murray's like, no, you may not. You don't have a warrant. You can basically get the hell out of here. And then he comes back, I guess, with a warrant and with a police officer and some guy, construction worker or something. They go to the basement. And, yeah, Egon, Bill Murray, even Rick Moranis, the Keymaster's with them. They all are in the basement. And Peckerhead's like, you can turn off the... What the hell's it called? Not the storage. Where they store the ghost. I don't know why I was going to call it the storage unit. Where they store the ghost. He's like, you can turn this off. They're breaking the law. Turn it off. Shut it off. Basically kill their business and shut it off. Release all the ghosts. Because Peckerhead didn't believe all the ghosts would get released. He probably didn't even believe they were in there. For real. He probably didn't believe that they really caught ghosts. So Peckerhead says, shut it off. And Bill Murray gets in front of him. He's like, don't do this. Do not shut it off. And then he's like, shut it off. And then they do it. And I think it's Egon goes like this. When they shut it off, he's like, boom. Big explosion's about to happen. All hell is going to break loose in New York. He shuts it off. Siren goes off. And then it starts shaking, exploding. Ghosts out of it. They run up the stairs. Explosions behind them, which were great. It's a great scene. All-time great. Explosion out of the roof of the firehouse. And then that music starts playing. I don't know who did that song, but it's a great song for the movie. Like, I believe that magic happened. They're showing all these ghosts in the sky getting released. And then the city starts getting haunted all over again, worse than ever. The sky from light and blue sky turns to dark and black. Then, I think, yeah, after that explosion, they're outside the firehouse. Egon's pissed. He tries to fight Peckerhead. And then the cops are breaking them all up. And then Keymaster's looking up at the sky, wandering around, walks away. And he's looking up like, oh, this is a sign. And then Janine, Annie Potts, is like, yeah, this is a sign, all right. A sign we're going out of business. So here's a 4K Ghostbusters DVD in this little box. Here's a woman that was on top of the building with them. I forget her name in the movie, but she did not even know English, they said, when they hired her. I think she was a model from like somewhere. I don't know where. Some European country. But yeah, she had a crazy look in the movie. Red eyes, and she looked nuts. But yeah, she's very memorable in her scene. So here's the original box for the 4K Ultimate Collection. Commentary on here from Ivan Reitman, Harold Ramis. So Slimer mode, picture-in-picture track, which I watched part of it, but I'm going to finish while watching the rest. Here's part 2. There's a box for part 2, 4K. There's that ugly, ugly SOB. My God, where the hell did they find this guy to get in part 2? Because he's one of the ugliest humans I've ever seen. Maybe he wasn't that ugly in real life. I don't know, but how they made him look, he looked terrifying. Ghostbusters, the original, one of the greatest movies of all time. To me, it's loved worldwide. It is loved, and it should be. It should be celebrated. Last year, 2024. Last year, the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters happened. Unreal. 40-year-old movie, 41 years old now. It still holds up. It will always hold up. It will always be my favorite movie of all time. The best. Simply the best movie of all time is Ghostbusters. Don't agree with me? I'll fight you. I will fight you. It's the greatest film of all time. Godfather is great. Many other movies are really good. To me, Ghostbusters is number 1. Number 2 to me, Private Parts. Look it up. Howard Stern's Private Parts. I love that movie. But Ghostbusters will always be my number 1 best favorite movie of all time. Greatest film of all time. Thank you, Dan Aykroyd, for writing it, and Harold Ramis, rest in peace. I wish you were still here. I loved that they put Harold Ramis, his character, Egon. They brought him back to life as like a spirit to help them. That was awesome. In Afterlife. That was a great scene. I got really emotional. Because again, I grew up as a kid. I absolutely loved Ghostbusters. I was obsessed with it. I loved the characters. Venkman, Ray Stantz, and Egon Spengler. Also, Ernie Hudson was good too. Just all-time great film. The creators of Ghostbusters, Ivan Reitman, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, thank you forever for making a perfect film and a perfect movie, in my opinion. It will be loved forever by me. Forever. Bye for now, everybody. By the way, if you haven't seen Ghostbusters, the original, watch it. Find it and watch it. If you were not born when it came out, I don't know, if you were born in the 80s or early 90s, or if you were born in the late 90s or early 90s, if you were born in the late 80s, I don't know when you were born, but if you haven't seen Ghostbusters, absolutely see it. Absolutely see the original. It's legendary. It's the greatest film of all time. Also, if you're into video games, play these 2 games. They're really fun. And again, I will never get tired of watching the original Ghostbusters. I've seen it probably 100 times. I know every single scene by heart, and it still is entertaining after 41 years. Hope you enjoyed this. Let's talk about it, Ghostbusters. In the future, I think I'll do a Let's Talk About It, the Iron Claw, but I was not impressed by it. Except for Zac Efron did really well. Really well playing Kevin Von Erich. He looked more like Carrie. He should have played Carrie Von Erich, but he was Kevin. I don't know. Carrie's Von Erich's character in the Iron Claw was sad, in my opinion. Very sad to watch. Because they just made him out, I don't know, to be like a drug addict. But anyways, bye for now. Ghostbusters, I stand by it, is the greatest movie ever made.